Here at the Los Angeles Film Festival with Elliott Lester, director of Nightingale, which premiered here last night, with David Oyelowo in what I predict will be an award-winning role. I'm not one to throw that hyperbole around, but at least a Film Independent Spirit Award.
That would be the dream.
I can't imagine that he wouldn't at least be nominated for that.
I mean, who knows? I mean, I certainly, when we made the film, didn't set out for that. We just wanted to make what we felt was an interesting film. I mean, if people love it, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Without giving too much away, tell us about the basic idea.
It's really the study of loneliness in modern life, and a man's descent into madness, and actually into really discovering who he really is. He's trying to have dinner with a friend, an old army buddy, and every time he thinks it's going to happen, it doesn't happen, and it becomes frustrating with pretty catastrophic results.
Now, one of the things I thought was interesting was that you chose in the first the prologue to the film to basically give away the general idea of what he did. Was there ever a decision whether or not you should put that in or not? Or
absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not. I mean, drama comes in at a point of crisis. The movie doesn't follow a traditional narrative. The story of what he does at the beginning of the film is not the story of the film.
Right.
It's the departure for the descent of where the characters leave, where Peter's going.
Right.
I think, it's not a thriller. It's unique.
But I love that aspect of it, and once we know he did this horrible thing, and you have these vertigo shots, down the hallway. I mean, it looked very Hitchcockian to me in some scenes. The way you shot it, there was always an ominous air of about what he had done and where that would lead.
What's behind the door? What's
behind the door, and you really do keep the audience on their toes. It's a brilliant script. Tell us how you came upon the script.
I was attached to another film at the time, last year, with Vera Farmiga, that I was going to do, who I love, and I picked up the script. My producing partner, Josh Weinstock, found it. He said, "You must read this." And Josh has phenomenal taste, and I picked it up on a Wednesday. I couldn't put it down. I was like, I've got to stop what I'm doing right now. I have to make this film. And we optioned it on a Monday from Frederick Mensch, the writer, and we were in production within a couple of months. It was that fast. I just had to make the film. I was compelled to make it.
Were you familiar with Frederick's work?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I was, but I am now, and I'm, there are not true voices in screenplays. I mean, I read so many screenplays. This was so unique. I was actually a bit scared to meet him, actually. I wasn't quite sure what kind of man would write that script. But he's actually a wonderful human being.
Or if he would be demanding about...
I mean, demanding, demented, deranged, one of the other dudes, Yeah, you just don't know. And he isn't. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah. The decision to cast David Oyelowo.
Yes. Well, the truth of the matter is a lot of people called about wanting to be in the film, and David had been on my radar for a while. He's someone who I'd seen in a lot of different films, and I really liked his work, and I was asked to take a meeting. He's British, I'm British, and we're from similar parts of London, and he walked in, and he was like my landsman, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, tea on the table.
Yeah, exactly, tea. And we sat down, and he spoke, and you listen, and he was giving me, because I don't know what this is going to be. I know that this could be the hardest thing I've ever done. I I think that we have an opportunity to create something that's art. I know I'm going to leave blood on the wall. And then, you know, we spent an hour or so. You know, he really affected me. His spirit and his honesty and his passion for the material, because that's what you're looking for as a director. Right. There are movies that you do for money, you know, and I've definitely done those. I've worked with those actors, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then you, on a project like this, you have to have that other thing. So he left. He wrote me a beautiful letter the following day, and I met with some other actors. It wasn't an immediate decision. And then I just was like, I think this is right. I never thought about his skin colour. I never thought about any other aspect other than, this is now Peter Snowden, and let's discover Peter together, because, you know, I have to discover who he is with him. We had this incredible working relationship. I've never had anything as good. You know, I wish all my relationships were as good as David's and I, but, you know, they're not.
It's interesting you mentioned skin color, because it's not an issue in the film. He could be any color. If this is not, you know, this is not 12 Years a Slave, with all due respect.
No, of course. It's a hot topic here. It's definitely in America, you know, coming from England, I've been here 20 years, you know, race is a big topic. In England it's different. But I want to see more black people playing Peter Snowden roles. Why not? Why is it always a slave, a historical figure, right, you know, or a thug, you know? Why don't we have the black version of her? You know, why? Yeah. You know, not every movie should be a Kevin Hart, right, Tyler Perry movie. There's a thirst for these films. I found that there was like, I think for the black community, it was a relief. You know, wow, we're doing something different.
And maybe if this reaches the audience, I believe it should, that will maybe spur, greenlight some projects.
Yeah, I hope so. I think, you know, coming off of the year in the African American community that they had last year with the Oscars, you know, you would hope to see that. You would hope to see, okay, it's not just about 12 Years a Slave, or Idris Elba playing Mandela, you know. It has to be more than that.
You mentioned blood on the wall, which literally and figuratively, I suppose, was the idea of that he had in the process of getting ready to shoot. Talk about the collaboration you had with him.
So you know, things start off, we're feeling each other out, you know. I can quote another director. So I called Lee Daniels, and I said to Lee, look, I'm going to work with David. And Lee said to me, he's like, well, let me tell you, first of all, he is an African, and he is an Englishman, and he is heaven sent. I need a glass of red wine and a cigarette. And then I spent 2.5 hours on the phone with Lee Daniels, discovering what his experience was like working with David, you know, on Paperboy and Butler. Yeah. David would come, I met Bandito Brothers, David would come over to the office, and I'd have him eat with me, and I would change his diet. I mean, I would order very fatty foods. Like for Peter Snowden, he's indulgent, so every day's his birthday, you know, so he would have a piece of cake, or he would just eat sugary foods. He'd eat like a 16-year-old boy, you know. Right. So I would slowly change his diet. I don't think he appreciated it at first, you know, straight away, but then he got into it. Typically what you do with a character, you've heard in the Q&A, say, oh, really? Okay. I'm sorry. You discover the voice first. And we would discover the voice first, and we would watch lots and lots of like YouTube sensations, because this is the world in which Peter Snowden lives in. And we would pore over the script. We would talk about motivations and characters. Every single aspect of Peter Snowden was discussed. The hair, the nails, hands, the clothing, the type of clothing, the fishbowl that he bought for the fish tank. And it was incredibly detailed. I mean, there was, you know, David had carte blanche. He would call me up at midnight. We would talk for hours about the character and discoveries that he had made in the script, and then just, it was a true collaboration. I know that a lot of directors say, "I truly collaborate." This was we were married. We were married to the script. He moved out of his house. He is from his family, which is not easy, and he was in character from the moment we turned over. He was in.
I was amazed in the Q&A after the screening. You said you only had one run through of the script.
There's no one for him to rehearse against, you know, and you don't want it to feel like, sometimes rehearsals can be phenomenal if there's an imbalance in the cast and you need to alter scenes and things like that.
Chemistry.
Yeah, there's no he's got no one to act opposite. He's acting opposite himself. I was worried that you'd lose the freshness of the delivery.
Yeah.
I didn't want to know.
And the set, the house is another character.
Unbelievable.
And it's just timeless. It has this, is it in the 60s, 70s, there's this timeless quality.
With 70s going into late 70s, it's a mid-century modern that's faded, been patched up. I mean, the walls haven't been painted.
Yeah.
They've just, we know people like that. We all know, like, you've been to Grandma's house.
Yeah.
It once was amazing, but now it's not.
And it adds to that sense that he's trapped. He's trapped in his mind. He's trapped in the physical world. He's trapped in his dreams. It's about entrapment.
It's life has found him, ultimately. And you're right. Where can he go? Who's he going to talk to? Because he's constantly connecting, but he's connecting to deaf ears. No one's listening, and nobody's watching.
I think we're running out of time, but tell us where the title came from. Nightingale.
Yes, Nightingale is a bird that exists in Europe. It doesn't exist in America. It's uncommon, and the male of the species, the mating call is they sing all night and they sing all day, whereas typically the female would. So it was creating this unique bird that would cry out for love. Well, it's often been described in Poe and Shelley and people like that.
And I think of Florence Nightingale.
And Florence Nightingale.
Yeah, which you could somehow fit in.
You can do it.
Good luck with the film.
Larry,
I hope it gets out there. David Oyelowo is just brilliant in this. It's stunning. Just a masterpiece.
Oh, wow.
Incredible achievement. Elliott Lester.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have all your stuff? Do I have your email and stuff?